G'day team, Jeremy Britton, 24-hour wealth coach, down on the beach. Beautiful, hot sunny day after my sunrise meditation. The last few days have been rain and hailstones, so it's quite pleasant to be down here today for a nice change. And today I want to make some recommendations for you to experiment with your health, experiment with your wealth. Last night I was giving a talk at a special screening of the movie Fat, Sick and Nearly Dead. And I went vegetarian 8 years ago. Since then I've experimented a lot with juice fasting, with water fasting. And people are asking me questions like, oh, how do you get your protein, and how do you get your vitamins, and you need meat, and you need meat to get your proteins, you need meat to get your vitamins, and things like that. Saying, well, where do you think the animal got its proteins from? Where do you think the animal got its vitamins from? It got them from a plant-based source. And realistically, you can watch a lot of documentary movies, you can read a lot of books, you can talk to people who have been vegetarian for many years, but you really won't know for sure until you actually experiment. I suggest to my clients go vegetarian for 10 to 14 days, have no meat, no dairy for that period of time, and then see how your body feels. Because you'll really know after a couple of weeks whether it's actually doing you good or whether it's not. You'll know by feeling. I also encourage you to experiment with your finances. A couple of weeks ago on Facebook I put a post up saying that I once had a $30,000 credit card and that was maxed out. That was right up to its limit and I couldn't use it anymore. And I also suggested to people if they had $10,000 or more in credit card debt, that I could show them a strategy for eliminating that debt within 6 to 12 months. Now, I had a lot of smarty pants posts on that, a lot of comments who saying, oh, you're trying to teach us how to do multi-level marketing and make lots of money and pay back the debt. And that wasn't the case. That's okay. Out of the smarty pants people, there was also some people who did contact me directly and say, hey, look, I've got this debt. I called all of those people individually, spoke to them, talked to them about the strategy for eliminating that debt within 6 to 12 months. So the ones who suspended their disbelief, experimented, who had a bit of a go, there's 7 people now who will actually have their debt eliminated in a very fast period of time. Now on this video I don't have time to explain to you fractional reserve banking. I don't have time to explain how the bank actually makes the debt up. But realistically, if you think about it, the person who goes in and whacks $100,000 down on a term deposit, the bank doesn't lend you their money. The bank actually creates a lot of debt, 10 times that debt, and the bank can lend out $1 million. This is why we've had banks go broke in the GFC. This is why we've had banks go broke in the Great Depression, because the banks will lend out 10 times as much money as what they've actually got on deposit. They just make it up. So you can actually use a strategy where you can make that debt deflate as well as they inflate it. And if you want to get rid of your debt and shell out 20 cents in a dollar or 50 cents in a dollar rather than repaying back 100%, then we need to talk. You also need to suspend your disbelief and be able to experiment. Okay? I was meditating this morning and I was thinking about metal ships, wooden ships. You know, thousands of years ago we had the technology to make metal ships, but we only started making them 100 years ago, really. And 200 years ago Australia was discovered with wooden ships. 1,000 years earlier there's some Viking having a bath, takes off his helmet and the metal helmet floats in the bathtub. They had metal cups and plates and things back then. Those things floated in the sink. But they just knew, because they had a belief system that if you put a piece of metal in water, it sinks. If you put a piece of wood in water, the wood floats. So they continued to build all of their ships out of wood because of an incorrect belief system. How and when did some bright spark finally go, you know what, just because I can float this metal cup in the water, I think I'm going to build a ship out of it, and I'm going to get other people to come on board with me and trust that my experiment, that my belief system is actually going to work. There's many things that you believe that are not actually true. Sometimes these belief systems have persisted for a few years inside of your head. Sometimes a cultural belief system has persisted for thousands of years, such as the one with the ships, or such as flat earth, or these sort of things, which mankind, 4-minute mile, another example. People believed that thousands of years that was a limit, and it wasn't actually a limit. Someone had to experiment, someone had to bust through the 4-minute mile and then prove that it was possible for everybody else. So question for you, is it possible for you to go vegetarian for 10 to 14 days? Is it possible for you to eliminate your debt within 6 to 12 months? Is it possible for you to do things that you actually once thought were impossible? Experiment with your health, experiment with your wealth, and find out how it can transform your life. I'll talk to you soon down on the beach or at 24hourwealthcoach.com.